Good morning, everyone. My name is John Lingard from Explorer. Thank you for joining the webinar today. The whole purpose of today's webinar is to explore whether you see Oracle as being an enabler for your business, or whether you see Oracle as being a blocker for innovation and modernization within the data center and within your businesses. It's a two-part webinar, and today is going to be focused on engineered systems. Part two in a couple of weeks is going to be focused on cloud. So anyone who signed up today will get an automatic invitation to that. So I look forward to seeing you there as well. So before we dig into the detail of engineered systems, a quick recap on who Explorer are for those of you that are new to us as an organization. Explorer, we've been around since 1995, so a long and very good history with Oracle as a platinum partner. And we use Oracle technology to solve business problems. We develop applications for customers, and we provide a range of managed services, whether that be across engineered systems or whether that be with cloud technology or even commodity infrastructure on premise. So a range of expertise from Oracle core technology down through the stack as well. You'll all be familiar with this Oracle stack of technology, and we align our expertise with every layer here, from application development down through the database and selling specialist services and managed services around engineered systems as well. And Oracle are really good at providing choice to customers. So whether you're looking at staying on premise, whether you're looking at the public cloud or interested in a hybrid approach, we work with Oracle to deploy these solutions in whatever form that you wish. So at this point, I'd like to open up a poll to everyone here today and just ask a quick question whether you see Oracle as an enabler or a blocker for innovation and modernization. Given that you've invested so much money and resource into Oracle, it might be a strange question to ask as well. One with negative connotations towards Oracle, perhaps. But I ask because I speak to different organizations every single week about their usage of Oracle technology, and I'm constantly surprised at the lack of awareness of Oracle's ability to help organizations take advantage of the opportunities that technology brings. Some customers have no idea that Oracle provide cloud services, and it's this mentality that and understanding that inspired me to ask this question. So hopefully by now you've all had a chance to answer that poll, and we'll close that now. So just taking a look at the results there now, I'm not too surprised at the answer. Hence why I've prepared this slide. Most of you do think that Oracle is a blocker for innovation. I hear these two reasons every week when I speak to customers. It's down to the perception of cost versus value, and frankly, Oracle at times just being too difficult to deal with. So, I hear them all the time, but I never hear reasons around blockers to do with Oracle about the technology itself. So they must be doing something right. I hear great success stories all the time from a startup customer of ours that relied on the Oracle Cloud to get their business off the ground. It's now ramping up with customer adoption, to charities that use Oracle as a central hub for donor information, to an SME that uses engineered systems to outperform and outmaneuver competitors, and finally to worldwide financial organizations that use the full suite of Oracle's technology to underpin every major business function and every consumer transaction. And as an Oracle partner that's worked with several hundreds of customers over the last 21 years, we too have seen it all from Oracle. We've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. But what remains, though, is our unwavering opinion and loyalty that Oracle develop and build the most relevant technology solutions for managing data, because it works. Your data is at the core of your organization. Structured data, unstructured data, data for processing, data for reporting, it's everywhere, more than it ever has been before, and it's only getting bigger and more difficult to manage. And without it, you cannot sell, service, buy, that's a shopping cart, by the way, not a pram, or communicate. Four pillars of any organization, I would say, anywhere in the world. And you'll use this data whether you're a startup to an established SME or a worldwide corporation. We all derive value from data all the time, and it's only that demand is only gonna get bigger. Without your people, equally as important to any organization, your data cannot be interpreted. It can't be interpreted into valuable information that can affect success. And finally, without the correct infrastructure and applications, your people cannot process, view, manipulate, or even share this data. It's a domino effect of success or failure based on some fundamental decisions to do with IT. And remember that old quote, a bad system will beat any good person every time. For 40 years now, Oracle has successfully built up a worldwide customer base selling its products to enable organizations to manage data, and they're really good at it. Why? Because it just works. But in my opinion, there are too many Oracle customers out there that avoid discussing these solutions with Oracle based on some previous bad experiences with how Oracle have interacted with them and perceptions of cost, not the technology. A quick case study on this point. We were invited into a company to help out with some performance problems that we're experiencing with their Oracle system. Atmosphere was frosty due to the level of impact it was having on the company and the blame towards Oracle technology. We spent a fortune on Oracle and it's not performing, those kind of statements. And after some initial investigations, it was clear that CPU was being hammered. More cores, and as you know, more cores were needed. So more cores means more database licenses, and that did not go down well. The recognition from the business about how the system was being used, it was not there. They weren't prepared to look at it. It's just a view of Oracle is expensive. Rather looking at alternative solutions to solve the problem, prevent it from reoccurring, and to minimize that total investment cost, they prefer to stick with traditional commodity hardware layers and pay the licenses needed. There were alternatives that I'll go on to shortly, but they just weren't prepared to think differently and realize that there was an opportunity to change how they operated. There was a fear of innovation and a fear of suggesting that Oracle had the answers. He clearly saw that Oracle was a blocker to modernization and innovation. And I know that there are many more customers out there with the same mentality. Why? Because most customers and most companies out there haven't fundamentally changed how they do IT. IT's focus is too much on IT, not adding business value. The build it yourself mentality is endemic, and there's a significant behavior difference between the personal use of IT to IT in the workplace. We don't go out there and build our own phones. We don't go out there and build our own TVs. We buy into, as consumers, technology ecosystems because we see the value and the benefits that it gives us. Now, I'm a big fanboy of Apple. And if I wanted a phone, just a phone, I'm sure that I could go out there and find a cheaper one. But I don't. I don't because I don't want to lose out on all the other benefits I get from that Apple ecosystem, from Macs to Apple TV to the iPhone. I see the value of having access to all of that data and all of those soft benefits. That investment is worth the value for me. We all know this stuff at a personal level, but why don't we apply it to the business? Because it's a force of habit, and it's often thought, it's not thought through. Sometimes politics are involved too. Economists call this loss aversion. That is the tend to avoid possible loss by sticking to the status quo rather than taking risks at potential gain and the advantages of opting for change. So aversion risk. What if I told you that there was an alternative? Oracle's world, it's engineered systems. There was once value in buying best-of-breed technology. Commodity hardware and the race to the bottom on cost. A server is a server and a disk is a disk mentality. Wrong. With the explosion of data and the use of IT now being about creating value for the business rather than just supporting laptops and desktops, there's an expectation that IT as a whole performs. It needs to be available. It needs to be available all the time. And it's expected that it's integrated and it's easy to update and it should be easy to run a report. The daily user expectations are endless, but to be fair, they are realistic. Their expectations have just kept pace with change in IT, but many IT departments haven't. Finger pointing between departments when there's performance bottlenecks, no ownership when it comes to updates and patches, endless delays when it comes to building out new environments. That list is endless. Some vendors have consolidated some of the layers of the stack with apps like databases and operating systems, but the hardware is more difficult to do. Vendors wanted to stay specialized. Converged infrastructure is the answer to many of those problems, but only go so far, and they rely more on alliances between vendors than actually engineering and having intellectual property within those layers. So that brings us on to Oracle. Oracle's answer is engineered systems. Essentially, this is converged infrastructure, but with a fundamental enhancement. It's the hardware and software which is engineered together, and you cannot do this unless you own the complete technology stack. Oracle do. No matter what the workload or use case, whether it be database, whether it be big data, whether it be applications, Oracle has an engineered system for a multitude of requirements. So it's one vendor, optimized performance, and unrivaled simplicity. These are the groups of individuals that I generally speak to about engineered systems. So the CIO that wants to unify data and have a complete control over data, no matter where it is or what it is. IT management, they just want to simplify architecture as much as possible. They want to remove bottlenecks. They want to remove delays. They want to remove excuses. They want everything to be a lot more simpler than it is at the moment. Enterprise architects, they want to standardize. They want to integrate. They want to allow for growth and shrinkage depending on how the business performs. They don't want to be locked in. There are a few other reasons why customers are looking at engineered systems. Customers that might be looking at a hybrid cloud strategy can and do benefit from the same standards and the same skills that are both used on-prem and now in the cloud. No one else has that capability. No one. And I'll expand on that point in a couple of weeks' time. Most, if not all of you, will be or should be using OEM as the single pane of glass for monitoring and managing Oracle technology from apps down to disk. And nothing changes with engineered systems. It's the same tool, the same views that make adoption and continued support really, really easy compared to using multiple tools from technology layers like VMware, storage, and servers. So this is the family of engineered systems. They all look very similar, but they all do very different jobs. So they're designed to coexist, and they come in different sizes, so you're not always literally wheeling in these big boxes. So we'll start in the top left. Exadata, Oracle's flagship engineered system and the best platform for running any Oracle database workload. And if you need extreme performance, then Exadata is the answer. ODA, Oracle Database Appliance. It's not one product, but four, ideal for general purpose databases and non-production workloads. It's got entry-level pricing, great performance, unrivaled simplicity in deployment and management as well. Big Data Appliance. This is a great system to deploy your production big data platform upon. And return on investment is really based around convenience, simplicity, and performance compared to building an Hadoop cluster on commodity nodes. We will be running a big data webinar later in November, so stay tuned for that one as well if you are looking at big data or analytics, whether that be on-premise or in the cloud. The PCA, Private Cloud Appliance, is a platform to run Oracle and non-Oracle workloads as well. So general compute requirements with the benefit of being able to deliver as a service workloads to the business. Oracle Cloud Machine, this is a great product as well. You get to bring the benefits of the Oracle public cloud services like platform as a service and infrastructure as a service into your data center. So this is for customers where public cloud is just not possible for whatever reasons around security, no matter how secure the public cloud is, or data sovereignty. So whatever your reasons, and you still want to benefit from metered and pay-as-you-go service subscription, so it's an OPEX model rather than CAPEX. Exalogic, if Exadata is the best platform for running Oracle databases, then Exalogic is the best platform for running application workloads, so especially Java and WebLogic, hence the name. Exalytics is purely an in-memory analytics appliance running Oracle BI and analytics applications. The ZDLRA, a tongueful, it's designed to protect thousands of Oracle databases in real time. So real-time protection and end-to-end recovery from a centralized control. So if you've got thousands of Oracle databases and backup and recovery is an issue, then Zelda helps with that. The FS1 is a SAN storage appliance. So it's got intelligent and tiered flash storage. It does what it says on the tin, really. It's fast and flash storage. ZFS, again, tiered storage, for databases, applications, engineered systems, Spark and x86 servers. So between FS1 and ZFS, storage and performance of storage is covered. Supercluster is an unrivaled Spark performance appliance. So it's for databases and applications, with the most advanced security features. Take a look at some of the output from Open World this year about Spark and Supercluster and MiniCluster. Some great advances there in performance and security. So the MiniCluster, the same Spark performance, but with added simplicity out of the box, and it's really just ready to run. Think of it as an ODA for Spark, if you will, but greater performance and unrivaled security. We're going to be focusing on two of the Engineered Systems products today, which are Exadata and ODA. If we had to go into the detail on all of these appliances here, I'll be here until Sunday, and I'm sure you wouldn't want that yourselves. So let's start to look at some of the value and benefits that organizations are getting from these engineered systems. Now, if you want to lower license costs and you want to save money, look at engineered systems. When you factor in cost avoidance, efficiency improvements, and removing downtime, you really do save money. You really do. These systems don't cost the earth, by the way. They are affordable, and they give you a greater return on investment than traditional IT. If you're struggling with performance, look at engineered systems. If you're coming up to a hardware refresh for servers and storage, look at engineered systems. If availability and recovery is too high a risk for you, look at engineered systems. But more importantly, these platforms will enable IT to get on with innovation and delivering results faster. So, Exadata. Now in its 7th generation, Exadata is the flagship engineered system and the most shipped. It's for database workloads, whether that's OLTP, transaction processing, or reporting. Whatever the workload, these boxes do chew it up with some unique performance-enhancing substances that are not appropriate for any sport, Olympic sport, quite frankly. So forget what you think you know about Exadata. Capacity on demand is the biggest feature that is contributing towards mass adoption. In previous versions of Exadata, you had to license all the cores, and frankly, it was only relevant for the largest of Oracle customers, predominantly within the financial services sector. But now the entry level is as low as 8 processor licenses of Enterprise Edition database. Now, if you have that, you don't need to buy any more database software. This is the single biggest contributor towards small to medium enterprises looking at and purchasing engineered systems. So some great technology features in there. Remember, it's hardware and software engineered together, but capacity on demand lowers that point of entry from a cost point of view. Remember the slide from earlier comparing separate vendor solutions to engineered systems? This is where Exadata fits and where a lot of cost savings and cost avoidance comes from. We're not saying rip these vendors out. Just repurpose them for general compute and non-Oracle requirements. Maximize that asset and stretch out the lifespan rather than upgrading those layers just to accommodate more performance for Oracle workloads. If Oracle workloads are critical to the business, then give them a platform that they can thrive in. A note on VMware and Oracle, a big no-no when it comes to license compliance with the database. Imagine not having to worry about an Oracle audit ever again. And this is where Exadata fits in, from virtualization down to the storage with a database stacked on top. A single appliance, easy to update, easy to manage, no more finger pointing, and deep optimizations with a database to really make performance fly. So Exadata is scalable. It comes in a unit which is 7 foot tall, weighs half a ton, but that's a full rack. There are different configurations from an eighth to a quarter to a half to a full. An eighth rack, the entry level Exadata, a couple of compute nodes, InfiniBand networking, which is massive bandwidth and low latency, so you can move a hell of a lot of data really quickly. Storage servers with over 100 terabytes of high capacity storage, or you could go for less storage if you wanted all flash storage, so increase performance even further. Huge compression rates, between 10 and 30 times. It's incredibly scalable and incredibly flexible. It's not just about high spec hardware components. It's about the engineering that goes into the optimizations between all of those stacks with the software. This is a really important point for Exadata because with capacity on demand, it means that you don't need to license all the cores in the servers. This isn't OVM, by the way. Capacity on demand is very different, and it's not virtualization. So with capacity on demand, the value of the licenses that you do have is greatly increased. Because performance is a huge part of Exadata, you get a hell of a lot of headroom, which means you don't have to buy Oracle software as often, if ever again in some cases. It's not down to the spec of the chip. It's the engineering that goes on behind the scenes, or the secret sauce, if you will. So here's a quick case study for you. This customer of ours went from being really a bystander on Exadata to an enthusiast. They were capturing a massive amount of data, and their storage requirements were getting bigger and bigger as business grew. As soon as they realized that they were already at the right level for database licenses to look at Exadata, which was 8 processors, they were interested. It sparked their interest. For so long they were led to believe that they had to buy hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of additional licensing. Their interest was killed. Not anymore with capacity on demand. We have our own Exadata. We bought our own Exadatas purely for proof of concepts, and we offered it up to them for free to run the POC. We supplied some consultancy, and we spent a hell of a lot of time for free looking at everything from performance to manageability, and they were hooked. The business case stacked up, and they are realizing massive business benefits. They accepted this challenge to change, and they were not adverse to innovation and modernization. These decisions are the difference between them growing as a business and not. It's that simple, because the business couldn't deliver what their clients wanted fast enough in that traditional IT world. Here's some other examples of why customers have invested in Exadata. Enterprise applications like Oracle E-Business Suite and SAP, they work great with Exadata. With great performance comes great consolidation options. One customer just wanted to look at Exadata for the simplified support benefits. No more finger pointing between departments. Performance resolved, interdepartment politics resolved. They've taken back control, and they're now focusing on what they should be doing. So if there's any questions at this time around Exadata, submit them now. We'll move on to Oracle Database Appliance next, and we'll cover off the questions at the end. So any questions, send them through now. Next on the list is ODA, Oracle Database Appliance. This isn't just one appliance. It is a family of 4. It's an entry-level database appliance focused on simplicity to deploy and simplicity to run. It's also got an entry-level price tag, so it doesn't have any of the Exadata secret sauce that we've just gone through, anything around SQL query offloading and high compression rates and flash cache or anything like that. But it is great for scalability, and it's great for smaller workloads or even standard edition customers as well. The performance is great and affordable. If we look at the complexity of building a solution from multiple vendors, we do this all the time, by the way, and this is especially complicated when we are building out rack clusters for standard edition customers. What should be a 1 or 2 day job turns into 1 or 2 weeks. It's cost and it's delay. There's lots of pieces to qualify and to ensure that they work together, from servers to storage to networking to the database, of course, as well. Make sure that they all work together and make sure that they're tuned together. Compare that to the integrated benefits of ODA. It's just a single appliance. You also need to consider the various skill sets that you've got within the team, coordination of people required to build this system out from scratch, and those weeks can turn into months. If you are waiting on a lot of people. Patching, being able to prioritize and focus on different patches, what should be applied where. Very complex, very convoluted process. With the ODA, you're only talking about 4 patches a year, so a lot more streamlined. Assessing those patches is a big effort, and a lot of the cost, the peripheral costs when it comes to IT, are to do with that. So just from a maintenance point of view, you're dropping that significantly, and around DBA support. So it's much simpler, and you generate results much faster at a much lower cost. Let's look at the family of ODAs. So there are 4 versions. So there's a small, medium, large, and a high availability one, or HA. So the small ODA is designed for a single instance database. Storage is expandable to double the amount shown there, and it's ideal for Standard Edition 1, Standard Edition 2 workloads. Medium range has got twice as many cores. It's got the same amount of expansion with storage and covers the same database additions. Storage, by the way, is non-volatile memory express, so really fast and faster than flash for writes. So performance is great with these things. The large ODA is the same amount of cores, but a lot more storage and still expandable as well. But that is Enterprise Edition only. And there's a high availability ODA as well. It does what it says on the tin, really. It's all about high availability with rack. It's Enterprise Edition only, but it's got a lot more compute, it's got a lot more storage, so it's ideal for consolidation and growth. Like Exadata, ODA offers customers a unique capacity on demand licensing model. So you can quickly scale up cores without any hardware upgrades, and you only pay for the licenses when you need them and when you turn them on. You cannot do this with commodity hardware unless you use OVM, which isn't always the best choice depending on use case or any other hard partitioning technology that Oracle deems suitable. Now let's look at some reasons why people have looked at ODA and when. A simple hardware refresh. If you compare the cost of a hardware refresh, I don't know, you might be running HP servers with EMC storage. If you look at that total cost of ownership and compare ownership and performance to ODA, ODA wins hands down, especially when you have the build versus buy conversation. That total cost of ownership you've really got to factor in and consider. It isn't just about buying servers. It isn't just about the product lines on the quotes. It's about much more than that around the peripheral support and management of this technology. It's fast storage. NVMe is faster than flash for write. So applications, databases, fly. It's a great platform for rack. So if you're looking at high availability, and remember, you're up and running with rack almost the same day compared to building a cluster yourself on commodity tin, which may take weeks. So if you're looking at high availability, then the ODA is a great out-of-the-box platform, simple to deploy and optimize. And it's a great choice, actually, if you're going to be looking at a hybrid cloud strategy. So maybe production ODA and non-production workloads in the cloud. More on cloud in part 2 of this webinar in a couple of weeks' time. I'll touch on more on that. So really, I just want to summarize a few points here and call out 2 in particular. Engineered systems is a leap from traditional IT. There needs to be a compelling reason to invest, and there is an element of change. Some staff may resist and feel threatened. Some of them like chaos, and some of them rely on it. But it needs that compelling reason to want to look at Innovate and modernize that infrastructure and take Oracle forward and take those business applications and that use of data forward as a business. If you're looking at cloud technology, then you're really going to get maximum benefit from engineered systems. But you need to get your house in order first. I'll expand on this point in a couple of weeks' time, but without doing so, you're creating 2 separate data strategies with very little or no integration. There is nothing hybrid about having a load of data in Amazon and Oracle on-premise. You need to link the cloud to your own data center, and you'll be surprised how easy that is to do with Oracle and the Oracle Cloud with engineered systems. So how do you modernize and innovate with engineered systems? Coming full circle to the original question asked. You've got to change the status quo. You've got to use technology that is integrated, and it's got to be fit for purpose. You've got to change the way that your people manage IT and their expectations of what their day-to-day tasks are. And I'll say it once more, they're not engineers anymore. It's not about making IT work. It's about making sure IT is working for the business. So how can we help? And I'm going to wrap this up now, but I just wanted to explain 3 quick ways how we might be able to help you further, if any of these points spark some interest. And remember, it isn't just Exadata and ODA that Explorer specialize in. We've got experience and expertise in the whole family of engineered systems. So if you want to discuss anything from big data to your Spark platforms to BI and analytics to applications to maybe non-Oracle workloads and creating an on-premise private cloud as a service model, then get in touch. And between ourselves and Oracle, we can provide all these things. So engineered systems workshops, for free. We can provide some free advisory services. We can provide some free on-site architecture review services as well, looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly of what your Oracle environment may or may not look like, and provide some recommendations. And then, if it's appropriate, you could benefit from a free proof of concept, whether that be Exadata, ODA, or any other engineered system. So if there are any sparks of interest on the back of this, my contact details are there. The website detail is up there as well, and our Twitter handle as well. Follow us on Twitter. So what's next? Part 2 is on the 21st of October with a focus on public and hybrid cloud. So I hope to see you there. Stay close to our Twitter account as well for more webinars that are coming up, or connect with me on LinkedIn. So if anyone has any questions about anything that we've covered, please send them through now. Okay, so one question about proof of concepts. Okay, so how do we get a proof of concept up and running? Okay, good question. So a proof of concept involves the loan of our Exadata or ODA, which we have re-racked. You've seen these pictures of the Exadata, for example. It's 7 foot tall, it weighs half a ton, but what we've done is re-wrapped that into a smaller and more mobile chassis to assist with getting it on site for exactly this type of requirement, a proof of concept. So we can wheel it in on site for free for a period of a few weeks to benchmark performance, to run a number of workshops around manageability and support, and discuss, your wider, Oracle data strategy and how that would align itself with Exadata. We provide you with a consultant for that period of time as well. Again, all for free. No contracts have been signed. There's no deposits. There's no cost. It's very, very simple, because we're taking a huge risk in doing that and exposing ourselves to the cost of that. But we're doing so because we believe in the performance and the benefits that Exadata brings. And these things, perform. And you will realize that benefit once you've got it on your own shop floor and you've got your team working with it. So I hope I've covered that off. A bit more detail on our POCs on our website as well. So maybe take a look at that. Okay, we currently run our SE databases on Windows servers, interacting heavily with a Windows file system. What challenges would moving ODA produce for us? Application code changes. Okay, so lifting and shifting an Oracle database from a Windows environment to an ODA, which, by the way, runs Oracle Linux, is fairly trivial, to be honest. So it's the interaction with the Windows file system and storage, which we've got to investigate further, I would say. And I would say that's perfectly sets us up for doing some sort of workshop or discovery and advisory services, or maybe even leading on to an architecture review and a health check. The storage is different with ODA compared to file system storage. It's ASM. And it's Linux and not Windows from an OS point of view. So maybe let's contact me separately, and let's set up an architecture review and a health check to look at that in a bit more detail. How is the DBO role different when working on Exadata? Great question. Okay, so the Oracle DBA role changes because they generally become the owner of that Exadata stack. Traditional IT teams, you've got the virtualization team, you've got the network team, you've got the server team, you've got the storage team, and so on and so forth. And that's where the finger pointing comes into it, from what I've mentioned earlier. Now, with Exadata, because it's a database appliance, generally the control and supportability and the management of that Exadata appliance is owned, soup to nuts, by the DBA team. So the role changes quite considerably in ownership. Tell me more about the architecture review. So an architecture review is when we would come on site, we would spend a few days for free picking apart and understanding the Oracle environment, from infrastructure to network, to operating systems, to databases, to applications, what kind of workloads, performance, availability, management, all that kind of stuff. And we would capture all that information, run various scripts, and produce a report for you which details the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly about that environment, and making some recommendations. Again, it's a free service, but there's no contracts to sign or anything like that. You're going to do anything with us afterwards. It's just a way of almost sanity checking what your Oracle world looks like. And even if you don't make any changes, it's good to know what your environment looks like from a third-party opinion. I think we might have another question. Exadata POC, will it cost me anything? Nope, not at all. Absolutely free. There's nothing before, there's no deposits, there's nothing afterwards. It's free, can't say it any more times. I think there might be one more. Okay, no, that's it. Okay, so if there's any final questions, get them through. Otherwise, I think we'll be wrapping up. Okay, I think that's about it. So I would like to say thank you once again for attending today. If there are any additional questions you want to take offline, my contact details were on previous slides, and I hope to hear from you soon, and look forward to seeing you again on part 2 of the webinar when we look at cloud, hybrid cloud, and linking those pieces together with engineered systems. Thanks for your time once again, and hopefully see you soon.